The wind that afternoon felt cold but gentle, brushing through the trees like it was trying to say something. Daniel Hayes stood alone by the small white headstone, his hands buried deep in the pockets of his coat. The name carved into the stone still looked new, though it had been nearly 3 years. Lily Hayes, 2014-2021. He read it the way a man reads a sentence he still can't believe is real. The grass around the grave was dotted with leaves, yellow and brown, the kind his daughter used to kick at while laughing. He whispered, "Hey, kiddo," and his voice broke halfway through. He had promised himself he'd only stay for a few minutes, just enough to leave the flowers, fix the little toy house she loved, and say a few words. But time always slipped when he came here. He would stare at her picture, that toothy grin framed by curly hair, and forget the rest of the world existed. Then behind him, he heard small footsteps, not heavy ones like an adult's, but light, almost playful. He turned, expecting to see someone passing through. Instead, a little girl stood by the fence. She couldn't have been older than 6. Her hair was tucked behind her ears, her cheeks pink from the cold, and she was wearing a bright yellow raincoat. For a moment, Daniel couldn't breathe. That coat, it wasn't just any coat. It was Lily's. The same one she'd worn every time it rained, even when it didn't. The same one she'd been buried in. The girl smiled shyly and said, "Hi." Daniel took a step closer. "Where did you get that coat?" His voice came out rougher than he meant. The girl tilted her head. "Your daughter lent it to me yesterday." Everything inside him froze. "What?" She pointed at the photo on the headstone. "Her. She said I could borrow it." For a few seconds, Daniel just stared, unable to move or think. Then anger bubbled up through the shock. "Who told you to say that?" he demanded. "Did someone put you up to this?" The girl frowned. "Nobody told me. She said you'd be here today." Daniel's chest tightened. He took a slow breath, trying to keep his voice steady. "Listen, sweetheart, my daughter. She's gone. You couldn't have talked to her." The girl didn't answer. She just looked down at the coat, tracing the buttons with her fingers. "She called your dog Captain." Daniel's heart stopped. Captain was the name Lily had secretly given their dog Max. No one knew that, not even his ex-wife. He stepped back, his throat dry. "How do you know that?" The girl shrugged. "She told me. She said you'd be sad and not talking much anymore, but she said I should tell you she's okay." Daniel couldn't speak. His body felt heavy, his heart beating hard in his ears. Before he could ask more, a voice called out from a distance, "Emma, where are you?" The girl turned toward the sound. A woman came hurrying up the path, mid-30s, hair tied back, wearing a tired but kind expression. "Emma," she said, catching her breath, "I told you not to wander off." Then she noticed Daniel, the grave, and the coat. Her face went pale. "Oh my God," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't realize she must have found that coat in the donation box. I had no idea." Daniel blinked, still trying to understand. "Donation box?" The woman nodded quickly. "At the church on Maple Street. We lost our home in a fire a few weeks ago. They gave us a box of clothes from donations. I didn't know." She trailed off, looking at the raincoat again. "I didn't know it belonged to someone's child." Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. "It was my daughter's." The woman's face fell. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'll wash it and bring it back right away." He shook his head slowly. "No, it's okay." Emma looked up at him, her eyes soft. "She said I could keep it. But if you want it back..." Daniel swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "You keep it, kid. It looks good on you." The woman took Emma's hand and started to walk away. But before leaving, the girl turned and said quietly, "She said you should draw again." Daniel's eyes stung. That was the last thing Lily had told him before the accident. "Draw something happy, Daddy." He couldn't move as they left. The little yellow coat disappeared behind the trees, and for a long time he just stood there, heart aching, mind spinning. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The words kept replaying in his head. "Your daughter lent it to me yesterday. And draw again." The next morning he drove to the church the woman had mentioned. It was small and old, with faded paint and the smell of coffee drifting from a nearby kitchen. Outside, a few volunteers were sorting donated clothes. "Excuse me," Daniel said, his voice quiet. "Do you know where the boxes come from?" A gray-haired woman looked up. "Mostly local donations. We pick up from storage units sometimes. Let me check." She flipped through a clipboard, then said, "Ah, yes. A box came last month from the Hayes storage facility." Daniel felt his stomach twist. That was his unit. He hadn't checked it in months. He called his assistant later that day, and she admitted she'd sent a few boxes for donation by mistake. "It was just old stuff," she said. "Kids' clothes, some toys. I thought they were extras." Daniel hung up without a word. That evening, he drove back to the same neighborhood where he'd seen Emma and her mother. He found them outside a small rented room above a laundromat. The mother was folding clothes near the window. When she saw him, she looked startled. "Mr. Hayes, it's fine," he said gently. "I'm not here about the coat." He hesitated. "I just wanted to see how you two are doing." Her shoulders relaxed a little. "We're managing. It's been rough since the fire, but we're okay." Emma peeked out from behind her. "Hi," she said softly. Daniel smiled.
"Hi, Emma. Still got your coat?"
She nodded proudly. "It keeps me warm," he laughed lightly. "Good, it's supposed to." They talked for a while about nothing and everything. Emma's grandmother joined them later, offering him tea. When Daniel asked if they needed anything, the woman hesitated, then admitted they were saving for a new apartment. Without thinking too long, Daniel said, "I can help." The mother shook her head quickly. "Sir, I can't accept that." "It's not charity," Daniel said. "It's something my daughter would have wanted." Her eyes softened. "Thank you." Over the next few weeks, Daniel visited often. He helped fix small things in their room, a leaky sink, a broken window. Emma started waiting for him by the stairs, showing him her drawings. One day she proudly handed him a picture of a big house with 3 people holding hands. "That's you, me, and Mommy," she said. Daniel smiled and asked, "Where's your house?" Emma pointed to the sky. "It's up there." But she says she visits sometimes. He didn't ask who she was. He already knew. Months later, when things had finally started to feel normal again, Emma's grandmother invited him over for dinner. While they ate, Daniel asked, "How old is Emma?" "She just turned 7, the grandmother said. "She was born March 8th, 2021. Daniel froze. That was the exact night Lily died. He didn't say anything then. He just stared at Emma, who was humming to herself and wearing that same yellow coat. The fabric now faded but still bright in the light. After dinner, Emma ran over and said, "Look what I found." She showed him her wrist. There, faint but clear, was a small birthmark shaped like a star. Lily had loved drawing stars. She'd even painted one just like it on her bedroom wall. Daniel felt something shift inside him. Not fear, not confusion, just a quiet peace. He crouched down so he was eye level with her. "You know my daughter loves stars too," Emma smiled. "I know, she told me." His throat tightened. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You keep that coat forever, okay?" She nodded. "She said you'd say that." Daniel laughed softly through his tears. For the first time in years, the laugh didn't hurt. It felt real, warm, alive. When he left that night, he stood by his car and looked up at the sky. The stars were faint but steady. He whispered, "Thank you, sweetheart." From that day on, Daniel started drawing again. Not buildings, but simple things, trees, parks, children playing in yellow coats. He began visiting Emma and her mother every week, helping them move into their new apartment, teaching Emma how to draw. He still went to the cemetery sometimes, but it didn't feel as heavy anymore. He no longer came to talk to the silence. He came to say thank you, because somehow, through a mistake, through a box of forgotten clothes, through one bright yellow coat, love had found its way back to him, and that love, simple and quiet, taught him how to live again.